working with Arsenal has brought us so far close to 10K in revenue a month, and with at least half that or more in the near term pipeline already. It's been a great experience working close with a sales development representative that's coachable, and works with us like a part of our internal team. And feel like we've already had some great success with more to come. Hi, my name is Lance Fogle. I'm the owner, founder, president of OnyxFire. Uh, been with Arsenal Business Growth for just shy of 2 years now. Actually, my cold call, you guys actually were reaching out to me. Mostly from the conversations that I had over time, was mostly focused on kind of being a part of the team and being willing to follow kind of my own methods as far as how you engage with customers and what I'm okay with and what I'm not okay with. It's been going great. Went through a long period of building the pipeline, but very happy in the partnership. Had some great success so far, and looking to have some more great success. A lot of times it's just very much we communicate in Teams or in emails and on phone calls, and just stay connected like I would an internal member of the team that's on sales, and sharing information back and forth based on feedback of what I had happen during the meeting and setting up for that next meeting, or how my sales rep can reach out and engage or help me in that process, or get somebody back to the table that we've been trying to talk to. So very much just a very internal member of the team feel, just kind of engaging back and forth and keeping each other informed through the process. I would say, the dedicated, reps working with small groups of businesses and allowing to have that more personal relationship rather than just like a rolling call center, I think is a major strength for Arsenal, because it allows for all those things I've already kind of mentioned, of just being able to have a more integrated approach to working with us. No, honestly, I kind of thought it was, and I know I still have some feelings about it sometimes when I get cold calls. But like I said, you guys, uh, we wouldn't be working together if you guys didn't cold call me. Actually, more than once. The first time you guys reached out, it ended up not being a thing, and more than a year or so or two later, here we are. We started working together, and we've been working together for a while. And I've had some customers that literally just they needed what we have to offer, and they weren't actively looking, but then we reached out and they're like, "Hey, since you cold called, here's all these things you can help with." So absolutely not dead. If done right and not done in a pushy sales way, I think cold calling could still be very effective. I feel like I have a pretty good relationship with our BDR, and working with Casey has been really awesome. Definitely coachable, in that I can, even just today, hey, gave him a pointer on something else that would be really beneficial for him to get on those initial calls. Immediately receptive to it. Hey, I'll make sure and get that. Anything I've made little tweaks or adjustments, just things that help me, or hey, can you give me a quick rundown? I don't have time to go dig in through it right before the meeting sometimes to get my mindset, and I want to not go into it blind. And he does a real good job of making sure, hey, here's a recap of who you're going to be talking to, here's why, and here's what we've talked to him about so far, kind of thing, which gets me set up much more rapidly. And as a business owner, I don't have a lot of time sometimes to spend the amount of time I would into that. So having that going in allows me to just be me and go to that meeting and at least know what I'm going into and who I'm talking to. So for the first year, I had a lot of appointments, and they were, a lot of them were quality in that there was good opportunity for engaging with them. Some of them just, it wasn't the right time or the right scenario. And some people that we met with, we landed some big proposals for projects and those kinds of things. Went into waiting periods, and some of them were, hey, we're trying to plan for a project next year. And some were hot on the money looking for something right now. But it was kind of all over the place initially, but as that pipeline kind of built and it kind of stacked together, the following year, it all just kind of came to fruition. And so sticking around that second year, even though we had, I think we closed like $500 the first year in recurring revenue. But then immediately, pretty much after extending that and really diving into the second year, and a lot of that pipeline kind of started coming back around, getting the right calls and the right meetings with the right people. And we more than made up for that. So the experience overall there has been pretty good as far as results there. I think we're pushing close to 10K recurring monthly, just off of meetings that our smallest got for us. I would say just kind of the stuff that I feel we're coming close on. Um, Honestly, probably got another 5+ K a month easy in recurring revenue. That's close to something, and then more than that even, and just things that are, hey, follow up with us later in the year when we're rediscussing budget kind of stuff. It felt really great when things kind of started breaking through. And it seemed like after that first real one, I mean, it was just one after another after another. Um, and really, really solid proposals coming into close, and building customers back to back on it, and building some great relationships around in the community, which was awesome. I can tell you that is kind of a relief, obviously, because after a year and you're looking at, hey, when are we gonna start seeing a ROI on this and those kinds of things. It was quite a relief because I did enjoy working with you guys. I wanted to continue working with you guys, but like any business owner, you got to look at ROI. And so when we finally kind of crested over that, and the pipeline really started doing its work, it was a little bit of a long game to initially get going, but now that it has, it's the pressure's off, and now it's just sky's the limit. What can we do together? Definitely one of those ones where they were like, hey, we weren't really looking, but we've got this IT guy that's been taking care of us for, years and years and years. He's doing a great job. But he's looking to retire. So we need somebody else. And since you cold called out, let's talk. And we ended up meeting with them and meeting with the existing IT guy, and have an on-site meeting with them and walk through their facility and sit down, really kind of go over, what makes us us, and how we could be a good partner, and how we can kind of continue the great experience they felt like they had with their previous guy, and how we can make sure that transition's smooth and work really well with them. And I mean, that one was about as smooth as it can go. I think we had some really good conversations, connected really well with them. I think they were excited for what we could bring to the table. And so it was almost closed before it was closed, kind of deal. And got to meet some more local community, business owners, and connect with what they do, and try to be the best us. So it was pretty much, that one was as smooth as it can go. Not all of them go necessarily that smooth. We've had some other ones too that went for months and months and months of, are we going to get this? And, after everything felt really good in the meetings, and it was 6 to 8 months later, we're at the closing table, after they kind of, went quiet for a long time. So sometimes it's like that. And sometimes it's like this one where it's just hot on the money. We get on the phone with them within 2 months, we're fully closed and onboarding everything, and taking care of somebody.
So I just got some great news. My MSP client in Louisville, we just closed another deal for a little over 2,400 MRR. This deal started out at the beginning of last month. I reached out to the president, and he pointed me in the direction of his controller who would handle the IT decisions. I reached out to her. She agreed pretty much immediately. They were kind of looking at some options, so we set something up in the same week. We had our initial call that went great. They emailed over some information on all the exact details on what their environment looked like. We sent out a proposal to them, and their internal IT guy kind of looked it over for a couple weeks. We got a meeting with him at the beginning of this month. Everything went great, and then from there, we set up an on-site to go out there and kind of do a walkthrough. We met with the president and the controller in person, and everything went great. We got a contract signed, and everything is good for a little over 2,400 MRR, onboarding of a little over 2,600, and an AR of $28,872. All in all, I'm really glad we got that one closed. That's 2 in the first couple months of working with me, and we got a couple more in the pipeline. So looking forward to closing some more deals.
Yeah. So for the follow-up, it's kind of goes both ways. So we do some scenarios where I'll directly follow up depending on where that deal is and where I feel like things are, and if I've already kind of built a little bit of rapport with them, and I feel like we're ready to have those conversations and maybe even bring it to a close. If it's just one of those where I know they were interested, but they kind of just fallen off, and I need somebody to kind of get them back into a conversation or get them back on the calendar so that we can talk some more. Maybe something came up and they needed to push it back a couple months or whatever. Having Arsenal and my representative Casey to follow up with that is beneficial. But we work together in that regard and figure out what makes sense. Which one of us should be reaching out. Overhead for hiring somebody, I'm sure everybody else is insanely worse than contracting things. But the major fear, follows into that is what is the expense of not having control over that individual and then being external, and what are they presenting as an image for the company and stuff. And honestly, I can say Arsenal has not been an issue in that department. And so the cost is much less in that area. And then just financially, the cost is less just because you can't really hire a decent salesperson for what it costs to work with you guys. And you still get, like I said, that person to person, coachable. Here's how I want things done. Here's how I want to work with you on this deal. Here's who, I want you to follow up, or, hey, I'm going to follow up. You kind of back off. Let me handle this piece or what have you. So there's very much still the same semblance of control, but without the employee headaches that come with having somebody too. There's always a thing with that. So, yeah, absolutely. I feel Arsenal is definitely worth the cost. Like I said, it was scary kind of early on as that pipeline build, but now that it's a steady moving engine. And I feel like there's a lot of great opportunities coming, and I feel like the value is now exponential at this point. With what it costs to work with Arsenal versus what Arsenal's bringing in, it's hitting that ROI point where now it's profit. At this point, especially with the way my reps been performing too, is pretty much come to expect I'm gonna at least have 1, 2, or 3 appointments every week that are solid, or follow-ups on something solid. And for the most part, it's been pretty like that, or not far from it. Regular communication. Every time something new comes in, I get a good recap of it right then. But then, good solid communication and recaps at the end of the week. Hey, here's stuff you do know about. Here's stuff you don't know about that I'm working right now. So just so you know what's coming. Just staying very well informed. And that's just kind of, building relationships and the clients that are landed. The conversations are never, hey, that guy that called was awful, but I'm glad you're here. So I've just kind of come to expect that the level of professionalism that's going through too. It's not leaving a bad taste in people's mouth when I talk to them. So that's kind of my expectations as they've been so far. I've actually never worked with anybody prior to Arsenal, mostly because all the others were just, either just mass email campaign type providers or just numbers game, crazy, huge data, call center type thing, no interpersonal stuff. My business is important to me, and the brand that I present and who we are as a company and how we care about our customers and how we approach things is a delicate thing. And so trusting somebody to be engaged and being part of the face of that, even when I'm hiring employees, is always a very deep thought process. And that's why we turned you guys down for the first time. As I didn't feel ready that was the thing. But the more I kind of got comfortable with it, and I'm kind of glad I did. I would say the future for me and my eyes is, we keep rolling like we're rolling. I foresee a very long-term partnership, just like try to form long-term partnerships with my customers. I'm not trying to have short-term relationships with, good partners that are doing a great job too. And so I see a very long future for Arsenal and OnyxFire together. You always think about higher internal sales, and like I was talking about before, you always talk about that, but there's so much that goes into that. And did you get a good sales guy? And Do you have a already built relationship and those kinds of things? So even at a point where it made sense to hire somebody, honestly, for this particular aspect of my business, I still feel like a long-term partnership with Arsenal makes the most sense. So we do revenue share as our model because I feel like just, like if anybody else brought me any kind of business, I feel like if you're going to go out of your way to, use word of mouth to spread and gain us business, or if you're going to work hard to bring us business, that you deserve some kind of, equal return on that. And honestly, I would be saving a fair amount of money if I wasn't doing the revenue share with the types of deals that have been closing. I would be keeping more of that, but I feel like part of what gets a good sales guy going and what's going to keep him connected is that hunger to do better, do more, and that's just part of the sales world. And so I think that's just kind of commensurate with what I'm expecting of my business growth development guy. Is he being compensated for how hard he's working and how hard he's doing things, and and it's not at a rate that's like, oh man, I closed that deal, but I made nothing on it because Arsenal got a pinch of it. Like, it's never like that either. So, it's a win-win for everybody. And so again, long-term partnerships. And if it's not beneficial for you guys, it's not really beneficial for us either. So I would say if patience isn't your strong suit, it takes a while to get going, and really build that pipeline. So, have that in mind going in. And it sounds like a sales pitch going in, and it kind of felt that way initially, but I hung in there, and I've come to find that there's a lot of truth in that. That just sometimes it takes a while to get that pipeline really built up, build relationships, and start conversations that turn into bigger conversations that turn into things. And beyond that, I would say, um, you know, don't go into it unless you're prepared for that growth. Because that's exactly what, a good partnership with Arsenal. If you're really geared, you've got your business processes figured out, you've got your sales process, at least on your end, figured out, and you can be effective. Arsenal's going to help you close that rest of that and bring those meetings to do it. Yeah, I definitely don't want anybody in my market to, no, but yeah, absolutely. I would recommend that people at least give Arsenal a shot if they're growth minded and they're ready to spread, their business to others, and they really want to, help people or reach out or grow. Arsenal's a good partner to do it with for sure. And worked with a couple development reps that were, really great. But our latest, definitely Casey, is on fire. Love working with him. We have a really good relationship, and Justin and the team as a whole, and just Aaron and everybody's willingness to come to the table and make sure it's a beneficial relationship, and that everybody's needs are being met, and that we're providing value bidirectionally. I think has been a great thing to work with Arsenal for sure.